If you were born in 1996, you are literally having your coming of age. You are literally in the period where you are transforming from a young, carefree young adult into laying the foundation of the next 30 years of your life. And that sounds extremely serious, but that is really what you are being called to do. Now, what is happening to you if you're born in 1996 is you are having your Saturn return and you're really in the midst of it and you're really experiencing the effects. Now, what is a Saturn return? A Saturn return is when Saturn comes to the same place that it was when you were born and comes back to that place. That's why it's called a return of Saturn, okay? It makes its orbit and comes back. Now, what does this mean? So, Saturn is the tough teacher. Saturn is like the father figure in a way that kind of pushes you to face challenges to become the best version of yourself. It's benevolent in that way that it wants you to be better, but it's going to put you through some challenges, especially if you are resisting discipline, consistency, and integrity in any area of your life. Now, in order to understand what your specific Saturn return means for you, you need to understand where in your chart, in your birth chart, is Saturn. Is it in the first house, the 10th house, the 11th house, the 6th house? And what house it's in is going to determine what area of your life that this lesson is in. For example, a lot of people have Saturn in their 7th house of relationships. And so during this time, they experience a lot of changes in that area of their life. For example, they might get married or they might end their engagement, they might end their marriage and actually go and completely change their life. If it's kind of in your work area of your chart, then maybe you are completely changing careers. You're quitting the career you had your entire 20s and you're now building a new career. So that's kind of the flavor of what happens. Now, even if it's not in that area of your chart, all of those changes might happen for you because when the Saturn return hits, right? So for us in 1996, this Saturn return process started March 2023 and is going until February 2026. Okay. And for some of us, it's going to hit really hard this year and early next year. So starting March 2023, some things might have happened for you, some changes might have happened for you that were explaining, the fact that things are changing. So what I mean by that is like in March last year, maybe you got this inkling of like, this relationship isn't right for me, like what happened to me, or this desire to leave your job, or this desire to just radically change things around. And basically what Saturn is doing is saying, hey, I need you to get serious about how you were living up until today. How did you spend your first 28 years? What were the lessons that you learned? Who did you become? What was the big vision and goal that you had? And how are you acting in accordance with that right now? Like, how are you actually taking that and going into the future? Right? So, in my specific case, my Saturn is in my 11th house of friendships and long term goals. Okay, my Saturn is about who are the friendships that have been in your life and who do you want to keep in your life for the next 30 years of your life. And I'm going to remove people from your life that maybe you don't want to be around you anymore. Maybe you want them, but I don't think they're best for you anymore. And I'm going to encourage you to find new friendships. And also, 11th house is about humanitarianism and long-term goals. So in my case, it's like about building the foundation, the structure for movements and communities and activism that I personally want to do now and into the future. Okay, so it's all about building the foundations. Okay, now if you don't obey Saturn, right? If you're like, no, I'm not going to get disciplined. I'm not going to get serious and consistent. I still am young. I still want to play. I still want to travel. I still want to, have fun. And you don't take what Saturn is trying to give you seriously, then Saturn is going to give you lessons the hard way, okay? My example is last year, I could feel like I was being called to sit down, figure out my future, create structures, build systems. And instead, I wanted to just go to Bali and have fun. Now, what is Saturn doing? Saturn got my phone stolen in Bali. Saturn gave me a million different health problems so that I would kind of be forced to just sit still and confront the challenges that I needed to overcome and to build the systems and the structures and the discipline to get to where I'm going. Okay? That's all Saturn's really asking from you is, hey, are you serious right now? As in, are you being serious about your life? How are your finances? How are your friendships? How are your relationships? How is your family life? How is your journey of healing the traumas from your family life? For example, if your Saturn is in your fourth house, right now you're unearthing all your like family problems and trauma from childhood. And that is what you're supposed to do. And I'm sorry if your Saturn's in the fourth house. That's what my partner's Saturn was in. And that was like really challenging. Okay. So you need to understand, where is Saturn in my chart? What is it trying to teach me? Where do I need to build structure and discipline? Where do I need to do some healing so that after I come out of this, because one day we will emerge out of the tumultuousness, and how will I come out of this as a better person, as a healthier adult, as a better adult, right? Let's say you do have some negative coping strategies in relationships, for example. Let's say you have an anxious attachment style. Saturn is saying, hey, I need you to heal this so that, going forward, you can be healthier. But if you're not healing it, then it's just going to come again and again and again and again. And the lesson is just going to keep coming at you in more challenging and harder ways. So that's why you really need to know what your Saturn is saying and where it is and what it's trying to tell you. Because if you don't, and you don't know how to prepare for it, you could just be continuing to make mistakes. And you could be making mistakes, and you could be constantly learning the hard way. And you don't have to learn the hard way. That's why it's best to just get an astrology reading now and understand, or learn astrology yourself and understand how it's going to affect you. Okay, so that being said, I am right now doing Saturn Return readings. I'm going to do 50% off for the first 10 people. So if you want me to personally look at your Saturn and tell you where it is and how it's going to affect you, then just send me a message and I'm happy to do that for you. But that's basically what you need to know. And I'll actually put a bunch of other videos in the description that I watched that help me understand this on a deeper level that might be helpful to you. Okay, but basically 1996 girlies, men, you gotta figure this out immediately. And if you're 1997 to 1999, then it's coming for you, just not yet, but it's on the horizon. Okay, so if you can predict it before it comes to you, then you're set. So with that being said, have a great day and talk to you guys later.